So Nelson Financial Planning celebrating its 40th anniversary. In fact, this coming week on May 1, we will turn 40. Wish I was turning 40. I'm a little bit past that. But we are happy to have you join us here on Dollars and Cents. We're talking a little bit about some of the headlines that happened over the course of, for me, the past 25 years, for Christina Lamb, who's joining me on the program this morning, the past 21 years being with Nelson Financial Planning. And so before the break, we were talking about some of those headlines that really kind of caught our attention, sort of really burned in our memories, if you will. What are kind of some of the things that stick out in terms of some of the just the general experiences about what we do at Nelson Financial Planning over the course of the past couple of decades or so?
Yeah, so I think what sticks out kind of the most to me is just being able to help clients and understanding and being able to communicate with them, and then seeing that follow through over time and, make a difference in their lives. And from the tax side of things, I mean, just this year we had a client who was a widow, and she sold her primary residence several years after her spouse had passed away. And there is a special exemption for widows to save an additional $250,000 on the capital gains, bringing that up to $500,000. So she was unaware of that, and it turned into a $40,000 tax savings for her.
Wow.
So it's nice to see those kinds of things come to fruition.
Yeah, great example. Great example. For me, I would have to say this radio show. Mm-hmm. It is a large part of what we do each and every week. We've been doing it every week now for over 25 years. Jack Nelson started that show probably about 12 or 13 years even before that. So the show itself is not quite hitting the 40-year mark, but pretty close to it. For those of you who remember my father-in-law, Jack Nelson, he had a very distinct voice, a distinct character as well. Certainly it was my privilege and honor to host the show with him for the better part of a dozen years. One of the things that he would always say when he was talking about money, he would spell it out, and I'm going to do it a terrible disservice, but it would be MONEY. That would be his way to kind of talk about money. So certainly have some fond memories of the radio program over the course of the years, and now doing it with the rest of the team, doing it with you and Rob and Kristen and the rest of the team. It really, it is a lot of a big part of what we do, because we do it every week. And then I would agree, Christina. I think the relationships that we've built over working with people for such a long period of time, and the really neat thing about it is we see people that just are starting out, $100 a month into an IRA. We've got plenty of examples of that over the years where, because our firm doesn't have account minimums, and we still don't have account minimums, because we really do like to experience that journey with people over the course of decades, that allows them to start and do the right thing and save money, and as their earnings increase, that they save more money, and now getting to experience many of them retiring millionaires, and so that's really kind of a neat experience to be able to have been a part of that over the years. And I guess the other thing that's kind of interesting too, as I think about our philosophy as a firm, our investment approach really hasn't changed really a whole lot over the course of the past 25 years that I've been here. I mean, there are just some fundamentals when it comes to saving and investing that just that are timeless, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of, I like to put it as keeping it simple. Buying and holding quality investments that have longer track records, good diversification, a little bit of bond, international, domestic, things of that nature. Starting early, as you said. I mean, that's one of the things I personally really can appreciate from the firm is that everyone gets the same advice. You know, whether you have $100 or $1 million or somewhere in between, everybody is gathering that same information. And then also regularly rebalancing your portfolio, making sure you're not heavy in one area or another.
Right. No, that's right. I mean, all fundamentals. Another way that I always like to describe it with clients is, we're going to own the large companies that make the stuff that the world uses every day. And of course, that doesn't make it immune from decline. But when you think about those large global brands, got to believe that those are still going to be with us 5, 10, 15 years from now.
And they're names you recognize too, right. So you kind of know a little bit about what you have in your portfolio.
All around you, that is for sure. And I guess what's interesting is, what strikes me sort of more and more as I age, if you will. I'd like to think that I am ageless, but the reality is that I am not, is to your point, how hard it is to keep things simple. In our book that we wrote last year, Next Gen Dollars and Cents, we actually included a quote from Steve Jobs that I think really kind of summarizes that pretty well. And that is this notion, and the quote goes something like this: simple can be harder than complex. And you have to work pretty hard to get your thinking clear to make it simple. And my goodness, I would say in today's world that nothing is more true than that. I just keep coming back to just follow the fundamentals, and to your point, keep it simple, and ultimately that's the best way to achieve financial success over time. Another one that I've of probably more of late been talking a lot about is that my father-in-law, Jack Nelson, always had a bumper sticker in his office. And it's actually one of the things that I still have from his office, and I have it in my office. And not that your investment philosophy and life philosophy should be necessarily summed up by a bumper sticker, but this one actually, the more I quote-unquote age and do this, the more that rings true. And what the bumper sticker says is, it says, go first class, your heirs will. And if that doesn't kind of summarize, unfortunately, what we see way too often around the office.
It so does. And I think the generation that it's affecting most doesn't really like to spend that much.
Yeah. Well, the answer is make sure it is your money. Those that receive your money when you're gone will not value it in the same capacity that you do. So make sure that you are spending it and enjoying it. And I think that's the other part. You don't hear a lot of people in the financial business talk about it, but after all, what are you saving money for? Right? You're saving money to enjoy it for later on. So make sure you're taking the time to enjoy it as well. But
and don't wait too long to enjoy it too. I think that's
correct.
What we kind of see.
The aging thing kind of keeps happening, right?
There's a small space there,
right? Well, I mean, not small. I'm trying to extend that window as much as possible. I didn't
health-wise per se.
Right. Tomorrow is never guaranteed for anybody.
Yes.
And we don't know what tomorrow will bring. That is for sure. So it's about kind of striking that balance between saving for the future, saving for tomorrow, and enjoying today. That is for sure. I think far too often, in the grand scheme of things, probably there's a little bit more enjoying for today out there in the world at large. But for those that do save, make sure that you are enjoying. But our job, though, is not always easy, to say the least. Certainly some tough parts. So when we return, I thought it would be good, Christina, to kind of just share some of the tougher parts of what we go through on a regular basis here at the office as we do a little reminiscing and thinking about 40 years as a firm that we will celebrate this coming week on Monday, May 1 here at Nelson Financial Planning. You're listening to Dollars and Cents. We'll be back after these messages.